We've always been told that we need to hunt in packs and we need to use our networks to make sure that we grow our net worth. And also, societal judges purely based on how we treat others. And we also need to make sure that we use our environments to start actually finding inspiration, the things that we want to do. We should not allow our circumstances and environments to discourage us, but we should draw inspiration from those. Our guest for today is Thobekile Mkhize, or who hails from eThekwini, in the KZN. And we get to speak to her about exactly who she is, what she does, the inspiration behind Mavutu brand, also the Female Boss Collective. Thobekile, welcome to Conversation with Nnusi.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Yep, thank you so much for your time. And I think before we get to the much more interesting things, I want to know. So, who's Thobekile? Where are you from?
So, Thobekiles is a well balanced woman who was raised by grandparents.
Okay.
We come from Mchadume. It's a rural place in KwaZulu Natal. That's where most of my life was spent, my time, well, while I was younger. And then I moved to Mzindo, where I did most of my primary schooling and high schooling. And then eventually I graduated from university and I went to work. Then I worked in the corporate industry, and then after that I decided then to start my own business, which is the handbag business. So yes, I'm just a driven person that comes from humble beginnings, basically.
I've never had anybody saying I'm a well balanced individual. It's always my name is so and so and I come from this place. What's your understanding or definition of a well balanced young woman?
Okay, just looking at how my parents were, they're very religious as well as into academics. So I just found that it was a very good balance between being raised by people who appreciated the education part as well as people who were very spiritual,
Mm,
um, and who valued a lot of things about working hard. And that's what I tried to do and apply that in my work.
mm.
Um, and that just works for me amazingly because now I can balance everything as I grow my business.
Interesting. So we'll get to unpack your businesses as we get further in the conversation. But as a young girl growing up, I mean, I think everyone has got ambitions of what they want to become growing up. So as a young girl growing up in rural KZN, what did you want to be?
Um, I've always been an artistic child, to be honest with you. And I think being raised by grandparents, sometimes they have they have their own system of wanting you to be successful, and it was always a different route for them. So I don't think they really understood an artistic child. So I used to draw. I was visually talented,
Okay.
not as artistic like I could draw anything like that, but I saw a potential in me. Then after high school, trying to enroll in arts and design institutions, tertiary institutions, and wanted to do advertising. But then, by luck, I then was working for Adidas, South Africa, and I was the technical coordinator. So I was part of the team that we were actually designing a running shoe. So that's when I realized, I need to now, apply the passion for my designing and also my experience, um, then for me to actually create a product
Yeah.
that I absolutely love, which is handbags. And what a better way of actually dedicating a product to women.
Yeah.
Um, but that has been the most amazing journey of all. It's just discovering, without any formal education, I would say, but just exploring the design aspect and what I can do to actually make my designs actually be
Be
portrayed in
what they
this
are.
manner.
So I mean, I think most of us, we grow up and then we choose careers based on what we're exposed to or
Yeah.
based on what is common in our own communities.
True.
So when you went to varsity, what did you study? Was it what you always wanted to do, or was it's the only thing available, and I want to go to institution of higher learning, so I'm gonna jump into
Yeah. So
it?
that's very interesting
Mm,
because I initially, like I said, my passion was always in advertising. It's something that's I always dreamt of being an art director.
Okay.
Something that's way out of something that I would have been exposed to. Because there's never been a person that has been an art director in my family. My parents were, it's either you're a teacher or you're a nurse. So,
Policeman.
a policeman. So I was always a child that was, you know, a pioneer in things, and I used to want to be different. I remember when um, I remember just graduating because I come from a sports science field and
Yeah.
sports management field. So after just graduating, then I was decided to come to Joburg, and my parents were like, "Hey, what's going on? Kid, you're so young and you're
Yeah.
female. How can you live in Joburg?" So I've always wanted to learn new things
Yeah.
and just be driven and passionate. So I then found myself in the leather industry. Sometimes you learn something else and then you end up doing
Doing
something
something else,
else.
yeah.
So I've always been a learner. And then that's when I actually started off learning about the leather industry and the value chain system. I went into the farms and understood a farmer and an habitat. I just understood the whole value chain system, even tanneries, where you collect skins and what do you apply when you dye the material, and the waste that goes with the skins. I actually even learned about because one of the things that we do in my business is that we go and educate people about waste, recycled leather. So you just learn every aspect of the business
Yeah.
and make sure that you apply everything. So that has been, I've basically been learning, whether it's through my work experiences, seeing how CEOs run businesses, or it's just through just my eyes, opening my eyes, traveling or something like that. But
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's quite interesting that the things that you know today are purely based on lived experiences. So
yeah,
you then went and and worked in corporate SA, learned a few skills there, came back and then worked in a different environment, learned a few things there,
yeah,
watched people do things, and then also took a few nuggets from what they were doing.
yeah.
So now let's speak about you speak about you were raised by your grandparents, and then your grandfather leaves livestock for you.
Oh, the story. Oh, the story.
um, and out of that whole experience, you then get the inspiration to start Maboto Africa. So maybe take us through the story
The story
as
behind.
as you refer to it.
Okay, so as I was sitting at the farm, because I went back to the farmlands and there was a cultural celebration that took place,
Mm.
and it was my grandfather's cultural celebration. So I just looked and I looked because having worked for a company like Adidas, where they focus a lot on using elements around you in order for them to create a product.
Okay.
So that's the kind of things that I wanted to apply, the learnings. So by just watching the things around you that can inspire you to develop a product,
Mm.
then that's a sort of way that I went into it. So as I was sitting by the stairs, the stoop,
Yeah.
so I saw my grandfather's cattle, and I thought to myself, what can I actually make or that I can create that would honor my father's legacy, because my father passed on first,
Mm.
as well as my grandfather's legacy,
Okay.
um, and something that will be proudly South African, and that I would be able to create in South Africa, produced in South Africa, using the resources like the using the resources, obviously the skins that are
Mm.
sourced locally, as well as working with the key players like the tanneries and the people in my communities when I collect the skins. So what are the ways that I can actually create a better, proudly South African product that is honorable to women,
Mm.
and with something that I love to develop, like a handbag and shoes as well, because we also do shoes. So then that's when the idea came. I said, you know what? If I'm going to be creating a product, it has to be a product of good quality first and foremost,
Mm.
because we tried using was it fox leather at
Yeah.
first, but we realized that if we want to create a long lasting legacy, and a brand that will be recognized as an African brand, and a brand that will make a difference with regards to changing the people's lives, whether we're employing people, And I mean, there's so many goals that we're trying to cut. I mean, there's so many issues that we're trying to solve as well. So, and also environmental goals. So, how can I just make this work for everybody else, not just for myself, and not me to for me to benefit? Because there are other key players that are involved. So that's when Maboto was born, and I just decided then you know what, I'm going to then start off creating leather bags using waste material to begin with. And then the name then came about, and then it was actually it's an acronym, so it's my father's name and my name together.
Oh,
So and
okay.
my father's name is actually means Sibu Sen, but my grandmother used to call him Mabu or Mabu,
Okay.
just for short. So and his name just it symbolizes a lot of things. In Zulu, Sibu Sen, it means um, let's give thanks or let's give praise.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, what, for me to actually honor and honor the people that I've in my family, then I can then start off a brand and name it. And it's actually part of my way to actually give thanks when I say Sibong Sen. So I'm giving thanks to the women, and this is how I really want to give thanks by producing a quality product.
I hope you didn't take your own livestock to start making these bags.
No, no,
Uh,
no, we didn't.
mm,
No, we didn't. So we just use it as a way of inspiration and
yeah.
design and a story
Mm.
that was meaningful.
I mean, I think I never would have thought that the reason or the reasoning behind or the inspiration behind you doing these handbags was a way of giving back to the women, or
Yeah,
who who have raised you, and to the women that continue to raise all of us
true.
as a society. So I think that's an interesting aspect of the business that I never really got to understand. And I think now that I know, I think I'll buy one to give back to the women,
Oh, that's
that
so beautiful.
that continue to inspire all of us, and to
Thank
nurture all of us.
you.
So now you start the business. Then you start looking at, okay, I need to start. So you've used your own environment
Yeah.
to draw inspiration, and to almost assist you to start building this business called Maboto Africa, which is the marriage between or the marriage of your name and your late dad's name.
Yes.
And this is done just to commemorate and celebrate him as a father figure in your life.
True.
And attached to that, then you then start saying, now that I'm honoring my father, how about I start rather creating something for women,
True.
right? Um, so when you start thinking about these things, start thinking about using the resources at your disposal, so the people that are within your communities. And I think in most cases, people start business to make money,
Mm.
primarily, for and others start businesses for other things. For you, what was the driving force over and above you wanting to create a legacy, to honor your dad and to commemorate the women around you? What was the other driving force, that may have inspired you to start doing this?
Okay, yeah, it's true. Obviously, when you start a business, you want to make money. I think it's probably one of everyone's number one priority.
Mm,
But the most important thing is being impactful. It's the most important thing to me, and making a difference.
mm,
And it's just this is my small way of making a difference.
yeah.
That is one of our vision is to see Africa or Mahoto Africa to be a global brand,
Okay.
just like any other big retailers out there. Um, and for us to actually be recognized in Africa as well as outside of Africa, because we do have a lot of clients that are based in the US and the UK, so we
Mm,
do export outside as well. So yeah, to be internationally, play an impact in that sense, because most of the big retailers or the big players in this industry, um, they're always often, I won't say steal, but they always find inspiration in Africa.
yeah.
And there's this sense that what African designers are really, we have designers and we have such beautiful elements with animal prints and beautiful stories, but often we don't really, or now maybe it's starting to take shape, but we don't really make use of what we have and our resources. And that's kind of impact something that I want to change. And for me, it's all about changing the status quo.
Yeah.
Um, being brave and being bold enough to stand up for Africa or for women. And also the environmental aspect as well, to make sure that we are using the skins that become as remains whenever we have after our cultural celebrations, because we have always have these skins that they become as remains. But then what do you do about it? Let's do something with it. Let's clean. Let's recycle.
Yeah.
And so there's just facets to this. There's so many things that we want to achieve, but ultimately this is bigger than us actually.
Right. So, and then the next thing that you then started, as if you don't have enough in your hands, you then started the Female Boss Collective. What is that?
So it's a female boss collective. It's like a network of women. So after realizing that, um, you know, there's this thing that we don't do as women or as just a society, or as a black community, if I would say, we don't really share information.
Okay.
Number two, we are so, we're just so caught up in our selfish ways that we don't really want to give the next person a chance. And I've been fortunate enough within the space of 4 years running the business. Um, Besides the fact that I'm a driven person and I'm passionate, but I have been offered opportunities to participate in various international trade shows. I've been supported by the Department of Trade and Industry to access the international market, and I have networked quite tremendously. So I have been able to connect myself with the right people. But then with that information, even with the different University of Technology, they've helped us as well as entrepreneurs or students to empower us. But there's so much information that we get. But what do you do with that information? So that's what I always try to do, is that we need to then pass on this information to the next person, because it's important that we share, and we can have, everyone can have a piece of the pie. And for me, if I grow, then everyone else can grow. So I don't believe in this jealousy tendencies that you do. If I make it, you can't. I'll give information. It's just up to you then what
You
you
do
do
with
with it.
information.
So that was the whole point, that we get as women, we empower each other, we uplift one another, because there is, even amongst women, there is that jealousy. There's always women always fight about, we always fight about things, but that it really empowers us and helps us to better ourselves, to stand as one and speak the same language. And that, to me, that's important.
Because I think the pie is big enough for all of us, no?
True.
And there's also power in hunting in packs, because I think if there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you must go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others.
Yes.
And I think um, that's what I'm drawing from what you're telling me about information sharing is important, sharing contacts is important, networking is important, because the stronger your network, the bigger your net worth.
True.
Right? So I think that I commend you for that. And so now you're also one of the Play Your Part ambassadors, which is an initiative by Brand South Africa.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? In what field are you an ambassador for Brand South Africa?
Actually, I was invited to one of the exhibitions. I think it was back in 2018.
Mm.
And I was invited. I think it was in Midrand, or it's the one in Sandton.
Yeah.
So then that's when I got to learn about what Brand SA does, and I was just in awe, because they're doing an amazing job promoting um, local businesses. And from those experiences and those learnings, and the semblance that they had, that really inspired me then to actually apply the same things that that they do in my business and every day. So I'm so appreciative of those opportunities, because together we can, definitely, including all the organizations and stakeholders. Um, so that has been amazing, and I'm so happy, because by promoting myself and promoting South Africa, it's just not only about me,
Yeah.
but But yeah, everyone benefits, and
Mm. And in conclusion, if you were to look into this crystal ball and articulate what success looks like for you, how would you define that? What does success look like to you?
success to me, to me it means I have, if I'm able to make a difference
Mm.
in my business and to inspire the next woman, the next, it could be an African woman, it could be any actually young woman, for them to be inspired by my story. I think I would have done the due diligence. You know, I would have ticked the
Mm.
boxes because we need to we need to be an inspiration. And a lot of us need a lot of motivation. I mean, there's so much that's going on around the world with
Yeah.
COVID. If South Africa could highlight positive stories,
Mm.
and no matter in small ways, it doesn't matter if you're a big business or small business, that difference that you can make to change your continent, to change the situation, whatever the situation may be,
Mm.
to me, that is success. It means I've played my part.
Yeah. And speaking about playing your part, may you continue to inspire new ways. May you continue to play your part in making a difference in our community. And may Maboto Africa, live up to its expectations and to live up to its name, and may it be a global brand that is in Africa, that doesn't lose its authenticity about being African, but it's an African. Let it be an African product that goes to the world and inspires the world and tells the world the African story.
Sure, yeah.
May your stock keep rising, and I wish you nothing but the best in your businesses, and may many others be inspired by your journey, by your story. May many others learn from the collective that you're trying to establish in building and creating female bosses. And yeah, so I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so
May
much.
may you
Appreciate
continue to
it.
be the best that you can be.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This was Conversation with Nnusi, and I guess for today was Thobekile Mkhize. I hope you're inspired by her journey. She used the environment to inspire her to become a better human being and also a great business woman. She's also, allowed herself the chance to go and inspire other women by creating the collective, which is called Female Boss Collective. Let's do it again next week. It's Conversations with Nnusi on YouTube, on Spotify and SoundCloud. It's Nnusi, guys. Keep shining.
Hi, we are Maboto. We're in the business of manufacturing leather goods. Currently, our anchor products are ladies' handbags. You can check out our website. It's www.maboto.africa. We're also on Instagram, and our handle is Instagram underscore Africa, as well as on Facebook, which is Maboto Africa. And our number is 081 215 8511.